Okay, Gabby, welcome to my podcast. I'm gonna try to do it in English, but if I need Spanish, I will go for it. So everyone that's listening, I want to do it in English because I want to like challenge myself because I like to, and also because I know there's new people that speaks more English than Spanish in my community. It's not a big part, but I want to them to be able to listen to it, and also the people that follows you. I know there's a lot of Latinas, but also people that talk in English. So welcome. I always tell you the people that I invite to my podcast to present themselves because I don't feel like with the power to present them, but I do feel with the power to say why I invite you. I absolutely admire you. You have been my coach in different times of my career in coaching. And like the name of the podcast, one of the things that I most admire is that the way you show it's possible to live an abundant, soft, sexy life. So that's what I want to talk about. I want more people to believe that it's possible to go from hustle to a more soft, gentle, and abundant life beyond the way we're like teach to, or the way that we have like feel mostly in Latin America. I think it's in America too, but that we feel we have to work super hard to get and achieve what we want. So welcome, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. And also, I just want to say your English is freaking amazing. I remember when we first started working together, it has come such a long way. So I appreciate you so much. I know your listeners appreciate you so much. And my listeners who are going to be tuning in also appreciate this so much. It's going to be really exciting and cool to be able to navigate entre español, inglés, la mezcla de los dos y crear un nuevo language. Spanglish para mí es lo máximo. So thank you so much. And yeah, so the way that I would introduce myself is I'm a life and business coach. I prioritize and I specialize in the subconscious mind, in business strategy, marketing strategy, but overall just creating a lifestyle that promotes well-being and allows us to create new versions of reality using our own mindset, using the tools that we already have inside of ourselves. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here and just connect and hang out. It's been so long since we've been able to catch up, but I'm so excited to hear what's been going on in your world and yeah, just dive in.
Me too, and thank you for about my English. Like I feel more like confident talking in English, but it's still like trying to find the words, like like loading some words, but it's cool, like trying to get them. Okay, so the first thing I want to ask you is like a little bit about your story. I want people that don't know you like understand and put like in context, how did you get into that point, like really I'm this is not genuine to me the way I'm living, and this doesn't feels like, because recently I have heard many people between, and I've been there many times, like in this, okay, this sounds so beautiful and I know it's possible, but sometimes it takes not only taking action, yes, but also a lot of inner work, and you're like, when I'm gonna see the new life I want to create, how much time is going to take, and how can I like enjoy the process. So I want to know a little bit of your story and how did it, how did you get from where it started to today, you're living like mm, I feel like you're living what you dreamed of and you what you believe was possible for you.
Yeah, thank you. That's such a beautiful question. Okay, well, I can tell you a little bit about my backstory because I feel like without the backstory, it's hard to kind of understand how far I've actually evolved. I definitely did not start my journey in the same place that I am. So basically, I grew up in the US. I'm a first generation Latina. And for me, it's kind of like what you were saying in the introduction, how we associate or we believe that work has to be extremely hard, right? And it has to take over our entire life. If we want to be successful, we have to compromise in the other important areas. So in our social life, in our relationships, in our well-being, that comes secondary. And it's almost like, if we're able to create this super abundant life through working really hard, maybe then one day we'll be able to enjoy our lives. But by the time we get there, we're old, we feel like we don't have the same energy or creativity or drive anymore. So it's kind of like, how do we create a balance where we can equally enjoy life and also have that level of success that we've always dreamed of? So for me, what happened was my background is in marketing, communication, and design. I came onto this earth as a very creative person. I always wanted to be an artist. Art was something that came naturally to me, and it was the only thing that felt really good. I struggled in school with the traditional academics, so things like reading, writing. Creative writing, I was really good. But when it came to subjects that are more traditionally, students who do well in this subject, they're going to do well in the rest of the world. Art is not something that people do if they want to have a successful career and want to be taken seriously in a more competitive work environment. So I ended up choosing graphic design as my creative field, because then at least I would be able to have a good job and I would be able to support myself. So really from the beginning, I was already compromising my creative spirit to be able to fit into a more modern and accepted societal role as a professional. So in my pursuit of this idea, this worldly idea of success, which I thought was my own idea, but really it was just me taking in what everyone around me told me was success. I worked in the corporate field for a long time. So I worked in fashion, I worked in luxury real estate, I worked in TV, and all these, high level positions as a creative, thinking that having a really cool resume would make me somehow a more valuable person in society or someone that people could take seriously. But what was happening was that I was overworking myself like crazy. So on top of always having a 9 to 5, I also took on every freelance project you could imagine, because for me, being successful or being a person that is of value means that I'm super busy, because if I'm super busy and overworked, it must mean that I am, good at what I do and in demand, but what I was ignoring completely was how my body felt. I would push myself through doing things that I really disliked doing and did not feel good in my body at all, just for the name of having a great resume or feeling like I was a person that was worthy of success. And along my journey, the crazy thing that happened was that not just once, but 3 different occasions, the companies that I were working for ended up going either through restructuring, or they fell apart, or something happened to make it so that I was part of these company-wide layoffs. So I haven't met too many people that have gone through, actually after the pandemic, this has been way more common. But the fact that I was laid off 3 times was just insane to me, because I was chasing this, sense of security in the corporate world, because working for myself, being an artist, being creative was just way too risky. I would never be able to make like a consistent income from working for myself. So I stuck with the traditional roles, even though I really disliked setting my alarm every morning and waking up doing the same thing 9 to 5, breaking my spirit. But the universe definitely had bigger plans for me, because after each one of these layoffs, it was just kind of like, okay, this is a chance, a situation that is not normal. I'm going to keep trying. But again, the universe kept pushing me out of this structure until finally on the 3rd and final layoff, I remember that the layoff came not only with, the same week that I found out that I was being laid off from my job again, I also hit this health scare where I had been, I became bedridden for 2 days. I had no idea what was going on with me. And then on top of that, all the freelance stuff that I had on the side, same thing, everything came crashing into 1 week where my entire sense of self, my entire sense of reality and security were just pulled away from under me. So I didn't have health. I didn't have any idea where my next paycheck was coming. And I also didn't even know who I was on an identity level, because I so deeply identified with the work that I was doing. And if I didn't have any of those things, I literally had no idea who I was. And the fact that I allowed these external things to define who I was just so, for me, such a breaking point in my life that I was like, why is it that if something can so easily be removed from my life, it's suddenly I just don't even know who I am. So that in that moment was when I decided to just completely dive into personal development. I had never even heard of coaching before this moment in my life. And it just so happened that someone posted something on Instagram, something about like finding your purpose. I don't even remember at this point. But it was from that moment on that I really committed to just taking a completely different path. But I really like to believe that, if it wasn't for these really difficult moments, who knows how much longer I would have stayed on the same path, because it's really difficult to break away from, a reality that you've been so deeply conditioned to believe is the only way to do things. So I like to think that I had a lot of help from the universe, even though at the time it seemed really painful and scary. But I definitely appreciate those experiences because they made me kind of like learn that I can start over from zero and still have that resilience to, create an entirely different life. I know that was super long. Hopefully you can like speed it up, make it faster. But yeah, that's generally my story.
No, I love it. I have like a lot of questions from that. Sorry, because um I feel like people can hear you, and sometimes when we hear stories, even when we like tell the stories, we don't remember how much anxiety was there and how did you survive to that much anxiety. Because recently I've been studying a lot about anxiety, because this year is one of the times I felt most anxiety, because I feel like those times are when you are like challenging yourself, because kind of the universe is telling you new ways, new paths. I want to like make a point on that, because I feel it's important to people notice something on your story, and is that sometimes many no's or many like doors closed is not like you get scared and you start thinking like I'm not enough, maybe I'm not built to be successful, or I can't do it. And that will be like you can get depressed and not get out of that, or stay there a long time. And like I'm kind of thinking of people hearing that and saying, okay, if she went through that and saw like hear the like all the messages and the signs the universe start to deliver to you, sometimes it's beautiful when life leaves you with nothing, like nothing. You start feeling like, okay, so I'm open to everything because I don't have anything. So what I have to lose? So how did you handle that anxiety in that point? How do you went through that anxiety, because was in every area of your life? And well, noticing that, because I know right now you go through many processes with with your clients, and maybe you see them telling you, yes, I feel like everything is closed, nothing is possible, so I wanted someone to show me what can I do. And that was a gift. So that's the two questions like I have from there.
Thank you. Yeah, those are such good questions. So, if I heard you correctly, it was how did I manage the anxiety when I felt like I had literally nothing left? And what was the second question?
More than a question is like noticing that many times, I don't know if you want to like say anything else about that, but when life closes doors, is not doors closing, it's like that's not the moment in life that you like, it's life trying to tell you that there is something that is more aligned to you. And I want to attach to that, but I don't know if it's too much information. If not, I can repeat the second question. But also I know that then you move to Amsterdam, and what I feel is that when many doors close, kind of you start feeling like the place you're living, sometimes not always, but the place you're living and the people you're surrounded with start changing, because it's kind of you're not anymore aligned to here, like this is not anymore aligned with you. So that's the two, like the 2 points that I want to talk more about it.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Those are so, yeah, you're really making me like come back to these times. So to be honest, when this third layoff happened, the last one that really made me completely change my entire life, The anxiety was so difficult, and it was so difficult because it physically took a toll on my body. At that point, I didn't really have awareness about how anxiety and stress and all these kind of emotional factors take a physical toll on your actual body. So I was going to all these different doctors. So at the point where I felt like I lost everything, my health, my job, all these things, I was so primarily focused in surviving, in literally surviving. So I took a one-way flight from, at the time I was living in Brussels with an ex-boyfriend. I took a one-way flight to go see my family and be in Colombia and literally just focus on getting better, like my health wise. And then being with my family, focusing on my health. And then when I finally got the answers to why I was sick and bedridden, I finally realized the cause of it was actually stress related. Like I got a diagnosis of a chronic illness that comes as a result of stress and the body attacking itself. And there's not really much of a known cure except for psychotherapy and stress management. So that to me was such a wake-up call because, yeah, we have all heard that stress is not good for you, but until you physically see yourself in a hospital gown, looking at your own x-rays, seeing that your body has been physically impacted and the doctor is telling you that it's because of stress, that was the first time I was like, whoa, I actually have to change. And the reason why I think I was able to, besides that, just being in that, actual survival mode for my health, I think it was also the fact that because I had been laid off 2 times before, I'm not even going to say I built up the confidence. Maybe what happened was that I became more comfortable starting from zero and being like, okay, I've done this before. I've been through really hard things before. This one is just like, I'm so over it. I do not want to keep trying the same thing because trying the same things has gotten me the same result. So now I'm going to do something radically different. And you know what? If I fail, it's not going to make a difference because I already feel like I didn't have any of the things that I worked so long to get because I had been working on my career path since I was 17, 16. And then I think I was, how old was I? 25? No, 26, maybe even 27, that I finally was like, no, I cannot because my body just cannot handle it anymore. So yeah, that was really that breaking or turning point for me. And so when I look back on it now, and I've done a lot more reading and learning about what this means on a energetic and on a spiritual level, what this is called, some people call it different things. What I like to call it and how I've seen it represented is called the Great Disaster, the Great Destruction. It's when the universe or universal forces do everything in its power to get you to make a radical change out of your life. I had been so basically before the Great Disaster and the universe like ruins or breaks everything in your life so that it forces you to a direction that is more meant for you, it sends you signs. So the signs that it was sending me was my first layoff. I ignored it and I kept forcing myself against what the universe and my own body was telling me was right for me. Ignored it, kept going on the path that my ego was telling me I needed to go on. And then the universe sent me another sign. It laid me off again. And then finally, because I wasn't listening, it threw everything at me. So the health, the money, the every single thing, the career, bye. I'm sorry this hurts right now, but trust me, like if I didn't push you this hard, you would not make a change. So when my clients are going through these moments where they feel like everything is falling apart, relationships, their job, the place that they live, like all of these things are so painful. But the truth is, it's just the universe removing all of the things that are no longer aligned with you. Because if it didn't do that, we are programmed to stay in the comfort zone as long as possible. So if we remove all the comforts, what are we going to do? We're going to finally take a leap out.
That's amazing. I feel like many people need to hear that because it's so hard to see if you're not like, we can ask ourselves like, is that I'm not trying hard enough, or is that really I need to make a change? So right now, do you feel like the place you live in Amsterdam, and also the people that surround you, do you feel that it's more aligned to you? Do you feel the lifestyle and everything is like, how did your relationships start changing? How that with this change inside you, many relationships start to change, or how was this process? Because I think that people also start feeling afraid when they feel like people that were close to them are not anymore, like they don't have anything else to talk or in common. Many times, not everyone, no, not with your family maybe, but many people start like you're not anymore aligned to them, even love partners. And I feel that is many times painful, because we have like this attachment, but also it starts opening space to new people and new opportunities. And not judging them, but how has been that process of changing those relationships?
Yeah, another really great question. Um, so yes, living in Amsterdam now, it's a completely different environment, not only socially, but in every single aspect. But when it came to my relationships during this point, so when I made this big life shift, I have to mention that I didn't do it alone. Like I had a coach, and having this coach, I feel like the universe puts everything exactly in the right place in the right time. I did something quite extreme, which was when I was at this place where I had no job, my health, all the stuff, and I saw someone posted something on Instagram. I messaged back, and next thing you know, she became my coach, and I invested $5,000. It was the scariest thing. When I did it, I felt like I was literally going to throw up. Like my physical body, I felt like I was in so much danger because it was so new to me, and I had no idea what I was going to get out of it. But so I had my coach during this time of transition, and I'm so grateful because it was a just such an important aspect to me feeling safe, because I had someone who had been there or done something similar help me navigate the different phases of it, someone that I could talk to about what I was going through. Because absolutely, my lifelong friendships, some of them dissolved. So I realized that a lot of the reason why we were still friends was not because, you know, we were really adding a lot to each other's lives, but it was more so because we were so comfortable just having known each other for so long. And so it was really hard for me at the beginning when I started showing up differently online. Because the way that I was channeling my transformation was I was sharing a lot of the resources that were really helping me. So books that I liked, podcasts that I liked, they were more openly spiritual. They were more openly kind of talking about work-life balance in a way that might be triggering to some people who, you know, don't have that in their lives. So some of the people that I thought were friends at that point started to poke holes and, you know, kind of send energy that was really non-supportive. And the interesting thing about this is that my experience is not unique. Most people, this is so common. I'm not saying it happens to everyone, but I'm saying that if you are in the process of transformation and you start showing up differently, the people closest to you are going to be the ones that have the hardest time watching you do that. And one thing that I would say is, one, do not take it personally. And two, some people in your life do end up coming back around later. They do get triggered by watching you. However, it's important for you to realize that people's actions have nothing to do with you. And you just, exactly like what you said earlier, when you let go of certain relationships, you're just making space for new relationships to come. And, you know, I really had such a hard time believing that I could find people that were just like me in the sense of they're professional, they're grounded, they value, you know, being high achievers and creating a lot of impact in their lives and in their professional world, but also highly spiritual. And also, you know, all of these different things coming together. And on top of this all, you know, like we said at the beginning of the conversation, like Spanglish is its own culture. And I'm a first generation Latina, and I love to mix all the worlds. And I thought, who is out there just like me? No one. But when I started sharing exactly who I am and what I believe in, I started attracting mirrors of me. And now I live, you know, with these new relationships, new friendships, new exposure to things that I cannot believe. That I even ever doubted that there was people out there like me. But it did start with being quite lonely at the beginning, until I finally just kind of kept saying, if I exist and I am the way that I am, I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. And always keeping that vision in mind. And then I started attracting amazing friendships, people who really deeply aligned with me. And I couldn't be more grateful.
Okay, great. Well, the last question on what came from everything you just said, and I feel also like people, I love hearing that from you, because I really feel many people need to hear more about what happens when you start like um, recognizing who you truly are, And it's hard sometimes to really listen to your inner voice. It's like, how, where is it? What is really my inner voice? So I want to ask you right now, I know even if you are living this beautiful, expansive life, I know there's still contrast because we're creators and we still have contrast, and that's part of our life. But how did you dive right now through contrast, and how do you keep that feminine energy? I feel some, if you wanna go like explain a little bit of feminine energy, because sometimes I speak about it, and especially with men, they're like, feminine energy in men, what is that? And they don't understand, like, why do I call it feminine energy and masculine energy, and it has nothing to do with being a man or woman. But I want to know, how do you keep that feminine energy? That is what I feel the world and people need to have more in the life, in their lives, because I think we're a culture that is based on overdoing, but I also feel we're changing that, and that's shifting, and I feel there is more and more people that are getting aware of it, but the change takes time. And I feel, for example, I've been like um 5 months in Colombia, or like 5 or 4 months I was in the United States. And even in the United States, I feel that hustle, but here I feel it stronger. So I want to ask you, how do you keep that feminine energy active? How do you keep, now is, you're in a place that invites that also, you're surrounded with people that supports that, but talking to someone um, that is in surrounded in a place that doesn't support those beliefs, that the people that surrounds them doesn't support those beliefs, and even trying to work that way sometimes gets a little bit difficult because you're not surrounded by that kind of living. So how do you do it, and how will you say to all the people that are hearing and maybe don't have right now that this um, feminine surrounding or this gentle surrounding, how they can keep believing and like building it inside them? How in your daily basis, what do you do? Like, what tips do you, can you give them or give us?
Yeah, again, great question. And I'm really glad that you are bringing this up in this space now. I know that a lot of people think, or maybe they haven't heard of the concepts of masculine energy, feminine energy, or maybe they think it's all, not relevant or important. But the thing about masculine and feminine energy, if I'm just going to explain it from like a very high level place, is that it has nothing to do with our anatomies. And sometimes if people don't like the term masculine and feminine, you can interchange them with yin and yang energy. Yin energy or feminine energy is more creative, intuitive, trusting, go with the flow, compromise, this sort of more in flow energy. So if you think about pro athletes, for example, you ask them, how do you get into this flow state when you're out on the field, and they don't really know how to explain it to you? That's that feminine energy that's just guiding them in a way that's completely intuitive. The other side of that, the yang or the masculine, is the structure, is the more aggressive nature, the more move forward and be in motion sort of thing. And they both complement each other. They're both super important. So in order for the feminine energy to be at its most powerful, you need masculine structure. So what that means is like, okay, I don't know why I'm talking about pro athletes, especially because I'm not even close to being an athlete. An athlete needs to have an arena, it needs to have tools, or they need to have tools, and they need to, have a strategy for what they're going to do. But once they're on the court and they know the strategy and they know what the steps are, they get to be in their flow and in their intuitive and in their natural state of just like blending the two. So that's what I would say about masculine and feminine energies. I use those words, and I've become really comfortable with knowing that it has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman. But if you're living in a society that still hasn't come to, recognize or value some of these different traits that are uniquely human, and that we need both of them, it's true that most societies when it comes to productivity, they value more of that masculine role. So being very driven, not saying that the feminine is not driven, but more these like power stance, you have to like produce and build and, be very, let's say, aggressive in your approach. That's more valued or seen as a more powerful trait than the more intuitive, than the inviting, than the nurturing. But we all know that we need both. And in these hyper masculine societies, there's a complete imbalance. That's why people are becoming burnt out. That's why people are just coming from a place of like they do not have healthy relationships with how they work and how they approach just being in the workplace in general. So some tips are, how do I maintain this feminine energy when I also come from a background of like, seeing that the masculine approach is the way to be successful, or I've been programmed like this for so long, is really just affirmations and always checking in with myself and asking myself, like, am I being intuitive about this? Am I being creative? Where have I let go of this creative tendency and replaced it with only focusing on strategy? And do I invite myself to ask, where can I trust myself more? Where am I not trusting myself? Where am I not leaning into a little bit of trust? How can I pay more attention to my intuition? Because there have been so many times in my life where I will doubt my own intuition because I think that I need to take a more masculine approach and follow a textbook. And then I end up being unsatisfied with my choice and thinking I should have just gone with what I thought in the first place. And just remembering this, even though it's scary to make decisions from an intuitive place, I just try more often. I'm like, okay, my gut is telling me one thing, but society is telling me something else. Let me just see if this time I'll take the more intuitive approach and see what happens. And then you become more and more comfortable with it. So that would be my tip, and just kind of the way that I just approach being more in my feminine.
Okay, great. I loved it. And I want to close all the conversation. First, I want to thank you for opening up and telling all of your story. That tip, I feel, is so important, because I feel even with little things, even with choosing what you're gonna your clothing, everything, we can start with these kind of decisions. Even when you go to a restaurant, do it intuitively to start, can be a good start, and then you can start feeling more comfortable. So I want to thank you. I also want to ask you if you can tell the people that's hearing you, how can they work with you, what possibilities they have to learn more about you. And yes, thank you so much for your time, for all of your teachings, and for being here.
Thank you so much. This was really such a fun time, and your questions were absolutely amazing. I know that people are going to get so much value from the kind of questions that you even asked. So the way that you can work with me, I have one-on-one coaching, I have group programs, and I have sometimes I'll run short-term workshops, and everything is either involved with conscious entrepreneurship, so how to take your skills and turn it into something that is impactful and that you can create online. So it's the strategic social media marketing, all these sort of things that I have a corporate background in, as well as always mixed with the mindset, with neuro-linguistic programming and life coaching, NLP. So everything that I do, I really like to integrate both mind, body, and strategy. So yeah, you can find my work either through Instagram, and all my links are there. And maybe you can put like the show notes or something like where they can find me, but I'm really active on social media. But yeah.
Okay. So yes, I invite you to follow Gaje and all of your content. Also, it's amazing, and I invite all of the people to work with you, because I have worked with you, and it's amazing the way you teach and share so much with the people that follows you. So thank you so much, and have a great day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Ciao.